Okay. I want to start today with a question that frankly stresses me out just thinking about it. And it might sound a little weird, maybe even a little counterintuitive to how we usually operate.
Hmm.
What if lateness, that thing we all agonize over, that thing we apologize for, that thing we swear we're going to fix every single New Year's Eve, what if it isn't actually about time at all?
That is a provocative way to open the door. I
Hmm.
mean, usually when we look at a clock, that's all we see. Numbers, hours,
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay.
We see a resource that we are, rapidly running out of.
Exactly. I look at the clock and I think, okay, I just need 5 more minutes. Or the traffic was bad. Or, let's be honest, I'm just a messy person who can't get it together.
Yeah, that last one feels very familiar. We internalize it as a character flaw.
We do. We treat lateness like it's this external force or this character flaw we're stuck with. But today, based on this massive stack of research and articles we've been combing through, I want to try to flip the script completely. The hypothesis here is, what if lateness is actually about identity? What if it's about agreements, safety, and this is the one that really caught me off guard, design?
It's a fascinating pivot, and I'm glad you brought up the word design, because when you look at the source material we're diving into today, the common thread is really distinct.
Yeah.
It suggests that punctuality isn't a rule for school children.
No.
It's not just about manners. It's a high-performance variable. It's a piece of infrastructure.
Right. And I want to pause here and speak directly to you, the listener. If you are someone who constantly feels like you're sliding into meetings sideways, you know who you are, or you're the person texting, be there in 5, when you literally haven't put your shoes on yet.
Which is, to be honest, most of us at some point.
We see you. I am you. This deep dive isn't about shaming anyone.
Not at all. In fact, shaming usually makes the problem worse because it just adds anxiety to the mix. It becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of panic.
Exactly. The mission today is to move from trying to be on time, which feels like a constant struggle against the universe, to essentially designing a life where lateness becomes statistically impossible.
I love that phrase, statistically impossible. It takes it out of the realm of willpower and into the realm of, well, math?
It does. And to do that, we aren't looking at those standard time management books that tell you to wake up at 4 a.m. We are looking at 3 incredibly distinct, almost bizarrely different case studies.
We really are. It's quite the eclectic mix today. It's not the usual stuff.
Let's lay them out for everyone just so they know the journey we're about to take. First, we have a rugby player in New Zealand.
Mhm.
This guy went from literally fishing on a riverbank, drinking a beer, to winning the World Cup purely because he knew how to answer a phone.
That story is incredible. It's really a masterclass in what we're going to call response time discipline.
Second, we have a Japanese train station that issued a formal public apology for a mistake that I absolutely guarantee no one listening would have even noticed.
That one completely changes how we think about buffers and the concept of respect. It's a heavy one. It really makes you rethink things.
And third, we have a life or death race to the South Pole, where one explorer chose boring preparation and lived, and the other chose heroic, hustling, and, well, didn't mate it.
That's the ultimate lesson in winning the start line. The stakes couldn't be higher.
So we have sports, we have trains, and we have polar exploration, but the goal is singular. How do we fix the clock in our own heads? Because I think my clock is broken. Let's unpack this.
I'm ready. Where do we begin?
With the rugby.
Let's start with the rugby story. And I love this because it sounds like a movie script, like a cheesy sports movie, but it's real life. We're talking about Stephen Donald.
Yeah.
The year is 2011,
October 2011, to be precise. Auckland, New Zealand.
the Rugby World Cup. Now, for those listeners who don't follow rugby or maybe are in parts of the world where rugby isn't a religion, we need to set the stakes here. This isn't just a game.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, the All Blacks, the national team, are. How do I describe it? They're gods. It's cultural bedrock. It's more than a sport. And the Rugby World Cup is the Super Bowl times 10, but with a level of national anxiety that is hard to quantify. And in 2011, it was in New Zealand. The pressure was suffocating.
Right. So the entire country is hyper-focused on this tournament. Every conversation, every newspaper, it's all rugby. But Stephen Donald, he's
Right.
not in the squad.
No. In fact, he was effectively out in every sense of the word. And we need to understand the context of why he was out.
Mm-hmm.
He had been ridiculed for mistakes in the past. There was a famous game against Australia where he'd made a crucial error.
Yeah.
He was effectively a pariah in a rugby community.
Right. The fans had turned on him.
Oh, completely. He was pushed down the depth chart. He wasn't just on the bench. He was on vacation. He wasn't even in the conversation.
I think the source said he was effectively canceled by the fans before canceling was a term.
Essentially, yes. He was the guy everyone loved to blame, the scapegoat.
So what does a guy do when the biggest tournament in the world is happening in his backyard, his team is playing, and he's not invited? He goes fishing.
White baiting on the Waikato River, which is a very specific, very Kiwi thing to do. It's like a national pastime.
I love that detail. He's explicitly trying not to think about the tournament. He's got his rod, he's by the river, he's probably having a cold one, he's thinking about dinner, it's a quiet day.
Total escape.
And then his phone rings.
And this isn't a, hey, how are you, want to grab dinner call. This is an SOS. The All Blacks are in a crisis, a full-blown national-level emergency.
What happened?
Injuries, and not just any injuries. They had decimated the fly half stocks. The fly half is like the quarterback in American football.
The playmaker.
The absolute core of the offense. Dan Carter, the legend, is out. And his backup, Colin Slade, is out. They're down to their third-string guy, who is also looking shaky.
You're running out of bodies.
They need a fourth choice.
Number 10.
They need a playmaker, and they need him now.
And this is where the physics of being on time kicks in, because the source material emphasizes something crucial here. The call wasn't, hey, Stephen, can you come in next week? Or, when you have a moment, pack a bag.
Right. The urgency was immediate. It was absolute. And think about the psychology of that moment.
Oh, man.
You are relaxed. You have mentally checked out. You are actively avoiding the pressure cooker. And suddenly, you are being asked to step into the hottest fire imaginable with a team and a country that largely thinks you're not good enough.
That's a huge mental leap, to go from what's for dinner to the nation's hopes are on your shoulders.
It's an insane ask.
So Donald leaves the river. He gets in his car, still in his fishing gear, apparently. He enters what the sources call the pressure cooker of the camp. And then we fast forward to the final match.
The final. New Zealand versus France.
It's tight, it's tense, it's a low-scoring, brutal game. And then the nightmare scenario happens, another injury. Aaron Cruden, the third-string guy, goes down.
And suddenly, the guy who was whitebaiting just days ago is running onto the field in the World Cup final.
I can't even imagine the feeling. The crowd is probably stunned.
I think there was a collective gasp across the entire country, like, oh no, not him.
The 46th minute, New Zealand gets a penalty. The score is tight. Donald lines up the kick. The source describes Eden Park falling into a heavy silence. Can you imagine that? 60,000 people silent.
A nation holding its breath,
Right.
waiting for this one guy, the guy they wrote off, to do his job. The pressure is just astronomical.
It kicks it. It wobbles. It's not pretty, but it goes over. New Zealand wins 8-7. Those points were the margin.
They were the winning points.
He wins the World Cup for his country. He goes from villain to national hero in the space of about 2 weeks.
It's the ultimate redemption arc. You couldn't write it better.
It is. It's a fairy tale. But, and here's where it gets really interesting and why we're talking about this on a deep dive about punctuality. You argue that the kick isn't the point.
No, the kick is the glory. The kick is what gets you the statue. The kick is the Hollywood moment. But if we are analyzing this through the lens of punctuality and reliability, the real victory happened way before he stepped onto the field. The real victory was answering the phone.
This brings us to that concept you mentioned earlier, response time discipline. I want to dig into this because it sounds very corporate, but in this context, it feels visceral. Break that down for us.
So let's step back. Most of us define lateness based on a scheduled start time. The clock on the wall says the meeting starts at 9:00 a.m. If I'm there at 9:00, I'm on time. If I'm there at 9:05, I'm late.
Sure.
It's very binary. It's predictable. It's organized.
That's how the world works. That's how school works.
That's how the scheduled world works. But in elite environments, or even just high-stakes situations in life, lateness is defined differently. Lateness is failing to respond at the speed the situation demands.
The speed the situation demands. That's a heavy phrase. It feels subjective.
It is subjective to the event, but objective to the outcome. Think about Stephen Donald. He didn't have a schedule. He didn't have a calendar invite for World Cup final. His start time was the moment the phone rang.
So the clock wasn't on the wall.
A clock is in the call.
The clock is in the call. I want to pause on that phrase because that sounds great on a podcast, really punchy. But in practice, that sounds terrifying.
How so?
If I treat every phone call like a starting gun, I'm going to burn out by noon. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. It feels unsustainable.
That's a very fair pushback. And I want to be clear. The source material isn't suggesting you live in a state of hypervigilance where you jump every time your phone buzzes.
Okay, good.
It's not about panic. It's about switching cost.
Switching costs, is that like multitasking?
It's related. It's the mental energy it takes to go from one state to another, from fishing mode to World Cup mode. For most of us, that switching cost is incredibly high.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. If my boss calls me with an emergency on a Sunday, I need to sigh, I need to get a coffee, I need to complain about it to my partner for 10 minutes, I need to find my laptop, boot it up.
Find the password.
Right. All of that is friction. That's all drift. It's the time and energy you burn just to get to the starting line of the actual problem.
Oh, I feel called out. I definitely need the complain about it buffer. It's a non-negotiable part of my process.
We all do. It's human. But Stephen Donald, in that moment, he had to train his switching cost down to zero. He didn't get to say, let me just finish this beer, or I need to get in the right headspace, call me back in an hour.
He had to be ready instantly.
Mentally and physically,
Yeah.
he had presumably stayed in shape. He had to be ready for the call he never expected to get.
It reminds me of that Louis Pasteur quote the source mentions. Chance favors only the prepared mind.
Precisely. And this is where we see the difference between abstract talent and reliability. The world is full of talented people who don't answer the call.
Or they see the call and they think I'll get back to them later.
They drift. They say, I'll reply when I'm ready, or I'll get to that email when I'm feeling it, or I'm not in the right creative zone right now.
Oh, that's a big one in creative fields.
Right. That's the drift. In a team environment or a high-performance environment, when one person drifts, everyone else has to compensate. Synchronization is key. Donald treated that phone call like a binding contract. He answered, he moved, he arrived.
It's interesting because we usually think of punctuality as respect for others' time. Like, I don't want to make you wait, but in this context, it feels more like respect for opportunity.
That is a beautiful way to put it. It's respect for reality. The reality is that opportunities, true life-changing opportunities, often come without warning. They don't send a calendar invite.
No, they just show up.
If you are late to the information or late to the decision, the door closes. You stay on the riverbank. And the history books are written by someone else.
So bring this down to earth for the listener who isn't playing in the Rugby World Cup and who hopefully isn't being asked to save a nation. How do we apply response time discipline to, say, our emails or our family logistics?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I don't want to treat my spouse's text about milk like a World Cup final.
Right. The stakes are slightly lower.
But maybe you should treat the communication regarding the milk like a final. The source suggests a few really tactical moves here. The first is the call time rule.
Okay, what's that?
It means you differentiate between noise and signal. Not every email is an emergency, but you identify the key invitations, maybe a text from your boss with a direct question, or an urgent message from your partner about picking up a sick kid, and you treat those like a match day call-up.
So you acknowledge it fast.
Instantly, if possible, even if you can't solve the problem right then and there.
So don't ghost them while you figure it out. That's my toxic trait. I read the text, my brain starts churning on the answer, I get distracted, and 3 hours later they're angry.
Exactly. The silence creates anxiety. The silence is the drift. If you don't reply, the other person is sitting there thinking, did they see it? Do I need to call? Are they mad at me? Are they dead in a ditch?
Their imagination runs wild.
And you've created a second problem, an emotional one on top of the original logistical one.
So what's the move?
Use a two-step response. This is super practical. Step 1, set a receipt. Got it working on it. Or just seen.
Just acknowledging the signal.
Yes. Step 2, give a timestamp. Will confirm by 3:00 p.m. Or I can look at this properly in an hour.
Oh, that's good. Because it buys you time to actually do the work. But you've stopped the clock on the lateness of the response. You've honored the call.
You've established control. You've synchronized with the other person. You aren't drifting anymore. You've closed the loop.
The source also mentions a go bag. Now, usually I hear go bag and I think of doomsday preppers or spies, people with fake passports and gold bars.
Right, Jason Bourne stuff.
But this is for regular people.
It's for anyone who wants to minimize friction. Stephen Donald had to move now. Do you have a default kit ready?
Like literally a physical bag.
Yes. But let's get tactical here.
Yeah.
It can be physical.
Yeah.
Is your laptop charger always in the same spot in your bag, not by your bed? Do you have a portable battery charged?
Guilty. My charger is always by the bed.
So if you get an urgent call to go somewhere, you now have a 5-minute hunt for the charger. That's friction. But I think more relevant for our listeners is the digital go bag.
A digital go bag, what does that look like?
The source mentions a study on search friction. The average worker spends something like 19% of their week just looking for information.
19%. That's impossible.
It sounds high, but think about it. Where is that file? What was the password? Where is that template? Who did I send that email to?
Okay, yeah, that's basically a full day a week. That is wild.
That is lateness baked into your hard drive. So a digital go bag means, do you have a folder on your desktop with your bio, your headshot, your W-9, and your top 3 template responses?
So you're not rewriting the same email over and over.
Exactly. If a client asks for a proposal, does it take you 45 minutes to find the old file, update it, and find their contact info? Or does it take 45 seconds to attach a template and send?
That delta, that 44 minutes, is where you win or lose. That's where the opportunity either stays open or goes to someone else who is faster.
That's your response time discipline. When the urgency hits, you shouldn't be running around looking for your keys or resetting your password. That's micro-readiness.
Micro-readiness.
Small actions that reduce the chaos of urgency. Laying out your clothes the night before, putting your wallet and keys in the same bowl every single day. When the call comes, you can just go.
You know, it makes sense. If you reduce the friction of just starting, you're automatically faster than everyone else. And you're less stressed. You're not starting from a place of panic.
That's the key. Donald entered a high-pressure situation, but he wasn't frantic. He was ready.
So, takeaway number 1 from our rugby friend. Your clock is in the call. Be ready to answer. And stop ghosting people while you think of the perfect reply.
Treat the response like a contract. Honor it quickly.
Okay, speaking of contracts, I want to shift gears completely. This is a big one. We are leaving the adrenaline of New Zealand and flying to Japan, specifically the Tsukuba Express line near Tokyo.
This is one of my favorite stories in the stack because it is so culturally specific, yet the lesson is remarkably universal.
Set the scene for us.
It's November 14, 2017, Minami Nagarayama Station. A normal Tuesday morning.
Commuters, coffee, phones, sleepy people.
Yeah,
Usual.
exactly. A train is scheduled to depart at 9:44 and 27 a.m., 40 seconds past 9:44.
Wow, precise. Down to the second, not just around 9.45.
Very. Japanese train schedules are famously precise. Now, the train leaves, but it leaves at 9:44.20 a.m.
Okay, let me do the math. That is 20 seconds early.
20 seconds early.
Okay, I have to stop you there. In my world, and I think in the world of 99% of our listeners, if a train leaves 20 seconds early, that is a miracle.
Right.
That is a victory. We celebrate that. We tell our friends about it. You won't believe this, the train was early today.
Right. In New York or London, early is just basically on time. If the train is there, you get on, you don't question it. But the Tsukuba Express management didn't see it that way.
What did they do?
They issued a formal public apology.
For 20 seconds.
For 20 seconds, a press release.
Yes.
On their website, apologizing for the great inconvenience caused to their customers.
Did people complain? Was there a riot on the platform? Did anyone even notice?
The report says no complaints were filed, no accidents, no technical failures. It was simply a staff oversight. The conductor didn't check the timetable properly and closed the doors 20 seconds too soon.
I have to ask. Why apologize? It seems absurd. It feels most performative. Like, look how perfect we are. Is this just a cultural quirk? Is this just, Japan being Japan?
It's easy to write it off as just Japan being polite, sure. And there's a cultural element. But if you dig deeper, it's not about politeness. It's about trust.
Trust. Over 20 seconds.
How? Think about it from the user's perspective. Imagine you are a passenger who planned your route perfectly. You use an app. The app says, to make your 10.15 connection, you must be on the 9.44 for your train.
Yeah.
So you time your walk to the station perfectly. You arrive at the platform at 9.444.3.
Which is 10 seconds before the scheduled departure. You are technically early?
Right. You were on time, you did everything right, but the train is gone.
Ah, I see. To me, early meant the train was efficient. But to the passenger who did their job, who followed the rules, early is functionally the same as the train never showing up.
Exactly. Early is just gone. You missed it.
Yeah.
Your whole day is now disrupted. You'll miss your connection. You'll be late for your meeting. All because the system you trusted broke its promise.
And that brings us to the core concept here. Time is an agreement.
An agreement, a contract. Unpack that.
When a railway publishes a schedule, they are making a promise. We will be here at this specific moment. Millions of people then build their lives around that promise. They schedule job interviews, doctor's appointments, childcare pickups based on that timetable.
It's the invisible architecture of a city.
It is. So the apology wasn't about the 20 seconds of time lost or gained. It was about the integrity of the system. Think of it like a microfracture in a dam.
A microfracture.
20 seconds is a tiny crack. If you ignore it, if you say, no big deal, the crack gets bigger. Maybe next time it's a minute, then 5 minutes. Soon, nobody trusts the schedule at all.
And the whole system collapses into chaos.
Right. If you apologize for the microfracture, you're telling the public, we notice even the smallest cracks. We take this agreement seriously. They were saying, our job is to honor your clock, not ours.
That is a massive shift in perspective. I feel like most of the time when I'm late or even early, I'm operating on my clock, I'm running behind, or I'm ahead of schedule. I'm not thinking about the other person's clock. And that's where the friction happens. The source quotes Shakespeare here, better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. But the Japanese example refines that. It's not just about being soon or late, it's about being predictable.
So how do we achieve that level of reliability? Because, let's be honest, life isn't a Japanese railway. We have traffic. We have kids who lose their shoes. We have normal life. I can't issue a press release every time I'm 20 seconds off.
No, but you could build a system that absorbs the shock. The source argues that lateness is rarely caused by one big catastrophe. It's not usually an explosion or a flat tire that makes you late for a meeting.
No, it's usually, I couldn't find my wallet. Or I hit 2 red lights instead of green. Or I decided to load the dishwasher at the last second. It's the little things.
Right. It's caused by having no margin, no buffer.
Margin.
We build plans based on optimism. There's a documented cognitive bias called optimism bias. We assume the traffic will be light. We assume the elevator will be waiting. We assume the kids will find their shoes instantly.
I am definitely guilty of this. I look at Google Maps, it says 20 minutes, so I leave 20 minutes before. I plan for the best case scenario.
And that plan is not a plan. It's a wish. It's a prayer. Because if one thing goes wrong, one red light, one missing shoe, one extra email, you are late. The Japanese system works because of buffers.
Buffers as respect.
Yes. A buffer isn't wasted time. It's insurance against normal life. It's acknowledging that friction exists. It's a sign of respect for the agreement you've made.
The source lists a few types of buffers. Can we go through those? Because I think I use buffers wrong. I see a 10-minute buffer and I use it to scroll Instagram.
That's not a buffer. That's procrastination. Let's look at the 3 types. First, the departure buffer. This is the simplest one. It means leaving earlier than logic dictates.
How much earlier?
It depends, but the tactic suggested is a fixed travel cushion. You create a standard rule for yourself and you stick to it. Say, plus 10 minutes for anything local, plus 20 minutes for anything important.
And here's the trick. You don't renegotiate it.
That's the hard part, because my brain will look at the clock and say, traffic looks good on the app. I can shave off 5 minutes. Let's start bargaining.
Stop renegotiating. The rule is the rule. If the rule is plus 10, you add 10, period. You have to treat it like the train schedule. It's fixed. It removes the decision-making fatigue in the moment. Okay, what's next?
The transition buffer. This is crucial for people with back-to-back meetings, which is, most of us these days.
Oh, this is the Zoom fatigue killer.
Exactly. If you have a meeting from 1.0 to 2.0 and another from 2.0 to 3.0, when do you reset? When do you go to the bathroom? When do you switch contexts from talking about finance to talking about marketing?
Usually. I do it during the first 5 minutes of the second meeting while pretending to listen.
Which means you start the second meeting late, distracted and apologizing. You are stealing time from the next interaction to pay for the last one.
Stealing it. That hurts. That's the disrespect part.
It is. A transition buffer, even just 5 minutes between calls, is a sign of respect for the next person you're meeting with.
And finally, the recovery buffer.
This is time set aside for when things inevitably slip. If a meeting runs long, do you have a 15-minute block in your afternoon to catch up on the emails that piled up? Or does it domino into the rest of your day, making you late for everything that follows?
That domino effect is the worst. One late meeting and my whole day is shot.
A recovery buffer stops the dominoes. It's a circuit breaker.
So, practically speaking, how do I stop myself from eating into these buffers? Because I'm a chronic one last email person. I see the buffer and I think, great, time to be productive and send one more Slack message.
You need a hard leave alarm.
How is that different from a normal alarm?
Most people set an alarm for start getting ready. Or they look at the clock and say, I should go soon. A hard leave alarm is different. When it goes off, you stand up.
Mid-email.
Mid-sentence, mid-sip of coffee, you save the draft and you stand up. It is non-negotiable. It's the whistle blowing. The train is leaving the station.
That takes a frightening amount of discipline. The urge to just finish the thought is so strong.
It is, but it builds trust with yourself. If you respect the hard leave, you will arrive on time. You stop bargaining with the clock.
There's another tactic here called the closing ritual. This one seems really useful for the I lost my keys crowd. That's me.
Absolutely. The idea is to have a consistent sequence, a checklist that you do every single time you leave. Keys, wallet, phone, bathroom, same order every time.
Like a pilot doing a pre-flight check.
Yes. If you do it every time, you stop the last-minute search. You stop the chaos. You walk out the door smoothly. It becomes muscle memory. You're not using precious brain power on it.
And the goal here, going back to the train, is to be early but invisible.
I love that phrase. Early but invisible.
Meaning you don't show up 20 minutes early and demand attention. Like you don't make your early arrival someone else's problem.
Right. You don't burst in saying, "Look at me, I'm early, entertain me." That's actually a different kind of rude. You arrive, you sit in your car or the lobby, you breathe. You check your notes, you prep. You use the buffer for yourself.
So you walk into the meeting calm, prepared, not flustered.
Competent, reliable, like the train.
Okay, so we've got the mental readiness of the rugby player, that clock in the call. We've got the systemic buffers of the Japanese train. Now, I want to take us to the coldest, harshest environment on Earth.
Antarctica.
The race to the South Pole. This is a legendary story. Roald Amundsen versus Robert Falcon Scott, 1911.
It is often framed as a race of courage, a test of who was tougher, who had more grit, who was the bigger hero.
But our source argues it was actually a clinic in punctuality, which sounds incredibly boring for an adventure story. The Punctual Explorer doesn't have the same ring to it.
It really was, and that's the point. If you look at the details, Amundsen didn't treat the South Pole like a romantic adventure. He treated it like a schedule, logistics problem. He was a project manager on ice.
Give us the numbers.
Amundsen left his base on October 19, 1911. He arrived at the pole on December 14, 1911.
Oh, time.
Scott and his team arrived weeks later on January 17, 1912. And the most devastating part, he found the Norwegian flag already there.
That image. Arriving after all that suffering, dragging those sleds, frostbitten, dying, only to see the flag flapping in the wind. The psychological blow must have been immense.
It's heartbreaking. The entries in his diary are just devastating. And as we know, Scott and his team didn't make it back. They died on the return journey.
So this really is life or death. But why did Amundsen win? Was he just faster? Did he have better dogs? That's the usual explanation.
He had better dogs, yes.
Yeah.
And better knowledge of polar conditions.
Yeah.
But the expert analysis says the real reason he won is boring wins.
Boring wins.
Amundsen didn't hustle. He didn't sprint. He didn't have these days of heroic, manic effort to make up time. He treated the expedition as a chain of deadlines.
Explain that. A chain of deadlines.
Before he even set out, he calculated exactly how far they needed to go each day to preserve the dogs and the men. Something like 15 to 20 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the crazy part.
Mm-hmm.
Even when the weather was good, when the sun was shining and they could have gone 40 miles, he stopped.
He stopped. Even with good weather, I would never do that. I'd push on.
He stopped. He set up camp. He fed the dogs. He let the team rest. He refused to burn them out, even on good days. It was about consistency, not intensity.
That is incredible discipline, because the temptation to bank miles must have been huge to get ahead of schedule.
Huge. But contrast that with Scott. Scott often pushed his team to the brink of exhaustion on good days, trying to make time. Then the team would be shattered, and when a blizzard hit, they'd have no reserves left. They'd have to rest for days to recover.
So Scott's journey was all peaks and valleys, while Amundsen's was this steady, predictable line.
It was inconsistent. It was hurry up and wait. Amundsen's was boringly consistent.
The source quotes Amundsen saying, "Victory awaits him who has everything in order, luck," people call it.
That's the dagger. Luck, people call it. He's saying this wasn't luck, this was design. I designed this victory before I ever took a step on the ice.
This brings us to the principle of winning the start line.
This is the most profound takeaway for me in all of this. Most people, when they realize they're running late, try to fix it at the end.
Right. Driving fast, running through the airport, apologizing profusely, testing almost there from 3 towns away.
That's fixing it at the finish line. That is Scott pushing the team to exhaustion. Amundsen fixed lateness at the start.
How?
Depots. I want to talk about the depots.
Please, because I picture just a box in the snow.
It was so much more. Amundsen spent a whole season laying supply depots along the route before the race really heated up. And he didn't just drop a box. He marked them with massive black flags so they could be seen against the white snow for miles.
He's smart.
He built them up into cairns. He even laid out a line of bamboo poles for miles on either side, so if he was off course, he'd literally run into his own safety net.
So he was building a buffer for navigation errors.
A massive buffer. And inside the depots, it wasn't just food. It was meticulously planned. Seal meat for the dogs, chocolate for the men, paraffin oil for the stoves. Everything was measured. Everything was ready.
So when the blizzard hit or the trouble came, he had margin, he didn't have to hunt, he didn't have to guess. The supplies were waiting.
Exactly. If don't be late sounds like a small thing, look at Antarctica. Being late to a depot meant starvation. Being late to a weather window meant death.
Bad luck is often just a lack of order. That is ouch. That stings. Because it takes away the excuse.
It's harsh, but it's empowering. Because it means you can fix bad luck by creating order. You can stop being the victim of circumstances.
So how do we apply winning the start line to our lives? We aren't dragging sleds across ice. I'm just trying to get my kids to school on time.
But you are dragging yourself through weeks and months. The first tactic is move the start line back 24 hours.
What does that mean?
Do tomorrow's depot drops tonight.
Depot drops. I like that framing.
Think of your keys, your lunch, your kids' backpacks, your gym clothes as supplies. If you are looking for them at 7 a.m., you are already losing the race. You are Scott. You are hustling. You are starting the day in a deficit.
I don't want to be Scott.
Then be Amundsen. Place the depot the night before. Put the keys in the bowl. Pack the bag. Lay out the clothes. Check the route for tomorrow. Do it when you are calm at 9 p.m., not when you are rushing and stressed at 7 a.m.
It sounds so simple, but the resistance is real. I'm tired at night. I think I'll just do it in the morning.
That is the voice of failure. That is the voice of lateness talking. Doing it in the morning is hustling. Doing it at night is designing.
There's also the 2 depot rule. This is interesting.
Yes. For any appointment, set a leave by time, that's depot 1, and an arrive by time, that's depot 2.
And neither is negotiable.
Right. Most of us only have an arrive by time. I need to be there at 9. So we do the math backward. It takes 20 minutes, so I leave at 8:40.
Which, as we've established, leaves 0 margin. It's a prayer.
Exactly. If you set a leave by time as a hard constraint, I leave at 8:30 no matter what, you protect the journey. You build the buffer automatically. The leave by time is your real deadline.
It connects back to the weather. You have to assume friction. The source calls this weather windows.
Meaning, assume it will rain. Assume there will be traffic. Assume the parking lot will be full. Assume your kid will have a meltdown. Budget for it.
It's funny, we act surprised every time there's traffic. Can you believe this traffic? Yes. It's Tuesday at 8 a.m. Of course there is traffic. It's not a surprise. It's a feature of the system.
That's weather. If you don't budget for it, you aren't unlucky. You're unprepared.
The source suggests making a bad luck list.
This is a great exercise, a pre-mortem. Write down your 5 most common excuses for being late. Be brutally honest with yourself.
Okay, mine would be, lost my keys, couldn't decide what to wear, thought I had gas in the car, got stuck on one last email, and the cat threw up.
A classic list.
Yeah.
Now, build a specific prevention step for each. If you lose your keys, buy a tile tracker or put a hook by the door and build a habit. If you run out of gas, make a rule. I fill up every Sunday no matter what.
For the one last email problem, that's the hard leave alarm.
Exactly. You kill the excuse before it happens, you make your own luck.
Amundsen didn't hope the weather would be nice. He prepared for it to be awful. He respected the environment enough to prepare for its worst version. We need to respect our own lives that much.
That's a great way to put it.
So if we look at these 3 stories together, Donald, Tsukuba, Amundsen, what is the big picture here? How do we synthesize this for the listener who is just trying to survive the week?
I think the through line is that punctuality is not an act of willpower in the moment. It's not about trying harder. It's an act of design beforehand.
Okay, let's break that down for each story.
Stephen Donald teaches us to be mentally ready, to have the response time discipline. Your clock is in the call. You have to treat the opportunity like a contract and remove the switching cost by being prepared.
Right. You answer the phone?
The Tsukuba Express teaches us that the schedule itself is a promise. And to keep that promise, you need buffers. You need system integrity. You can't rely on optimism. Buffers are the architecture of respect.
And Amundsen.
Amundsen teaches us that the victory happens in the preparation. You don't win at the door. You win at the start line, 24 hours before. You win by doing the boring work, The depot drops the routines so that when the pressure comes, you simply execute.
It really moves lateness from being a moral failure to being a systems failure, which is so much more empowering.
Yes. If you are constantly late, you aren't a bad person. You just have a bad system. Your start line is in the wrong place. Your buffers are non-existent. Your response time is too slow.
I love that. It's fixable. It's a design problem, not a character problem.
It is entirely fixable.
Okay, we always like to give the listener something to do right now, not next week, today.
Let's do some micro steps.
Step 1.
Pick one high-stakes channel. Maybe it's text from your partner or emails from your biggest client or Slack messages from your boss. For the rest of today, set a 5-minute acknowledge goal.
And use that copy-paste script we talked about.
Yes. Create a shortcut on your phone right now. Seen working on it. I'll confirm by time. It takes 2 seconds to set up, but it will solve the drift and reduce so much anxiety for others.
Step 2.
For your next appointment, whatever it is, a coffee meeting, a doctor's visit, target your arrival time to be the scheduled time minus 7 minutes.
Minus 7 minutes. Why 7? That's specific.
It's a bit random, but it's enough to be safe, but not so early that you're awkward or tempted to just go in. It forces you to build that little buffer. And when you arrive, just sit there and observe how you feel. Are you bored? Good. That boredom is peace. It's control.
And step 3.
Tonight, before you go to sleep, do not get into bed until you have prepped one expedition kit.
Your depot.
Your depot. Keys, wallet, work bag, water bottle, notes for tomorrow's meeting. Put them in one place, by the door. Move the start line back 24 hours, just for one thing.
I'm going to do that with my gym bag tonight. I'm always scrambling for socks in the morning. It's ridiculous.
The Amundsen approach, put the socks in the bag tonight. Yeah. It's boring, but it works.
Simple, boring, effective.
That's the secret.
This has been surprisingly deep. I didn't think I'd get emotional about a train schedule or a rugby kick, but here we are. It feels like it's about so much more than just time.
It's the hidden physics of our lives. It's about reliability, trust, and respect.
As we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with one final thought. We've talked about hustling versus designing.
Yes. Scott versus Amundsen.
The Amundsen concept really stuck with me.
Think about it this way. If you constantly feel rushed, if you are always running, always apologizing, always sweating as you walk in the door, the problem isn't your speed. You aren't too slow.
The problem is your start line.
Exactly. Are you living your life by hustling at the end, trying to make up time you never had? Or are you living by winning the start, by preparing so well that the journey itself becomes calm and predictable?
Winning the start, that's the goal.
That's the deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Go set those alarms.
And check your buffers.
See you next time.